Today is January 13th, 2025. Well, it's a new year. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, I've been off for a short while, and I realized it was time to get back into my little studio with my history books behind me and talk about pro-life issues. But today, I want to talk about Joe Biden. We are 1 week away from Inauguration Day. Donald Trump takes office, and it will be the end of the Biden presidency. Bill O'Reilly, the journalist, broadcaster, author, he's written all those killing books, killing Jesus, killing Lincoln, killing Patton, killing the witches. He's written a new book in which he ranks all the presidents from best to worst. And he has ranked Joe Biden as the second worst president in American history, second only to James Buchanan, the absolute worst president in U.S. history. Buchanan, in the late 1850s, you've heard the expression that Nero fiddled while Rome burned. Well, that was Buchanan in the late 1850s, sitting around and basically did nothing as the North and the South was fracturing apart over the issue of slavery, and they were hurtling towards civil war. And for the most part, Buchanan sat on his hands and really did not do anything to try to negotiate some kind of settlement that both sections, North and South, could live with. Just did not do his job as president to keep the country together. Okay, it was for Lincoln to bind up the wounds and put us back together again. But so O'Reilly considers Joe Biden the second worst president in history. And I'm not sure if we're willing to go that far, but he does rank pretty low in my book. But so we're going to look at three different categories of the Biden presidency: foreign policy, domestic policy, and social issues, and just kind of go through some of his failings. Foreign policy, he and Barack Obama appeased Iran, gave them millions and millions of dollars for Iran, in turn, to supply weapons, missiles, for Hamas and Hezbollah to target Israel in their ongoing jihad against the state of Israel. And we know where that has headed now since October 7th of 2023, when Hamas attacked Israel and killed like 1,200 Israeli and American citizens. The Afghan withdrawal in 2021 was a disaster. Trump was going to get us out of Afghanistan, but it was going to be a measured effect. We're going to get out U.S. citizens and our allies, and then we're going to get out our weapons, and then our troops were going to withdraw. It's going to be a step-by-step process. Well, Biden didn't do it that way. He left a lot of people there, a lot of U.S. citizens, to fend for themselves, and he abandoned the largest Air Force base in the Middle East that are on, maybe I'm mispronouncing it correctly, the Air Force base, and left millions and millions of dollars worth of military hardware just for the Taliban to pick up and use. I mean, you don't leave your stuff. You don't do it. But Joe Biden did. And never apologized for the disastrous withdrawal. Ukraine. When Ukraine and Russia were inching closer to war, Biden really did not take the leadership role he should have. I mean, did he say to Putin, I'm coming to Moscow. We're going to talk about this. We're going to hammer out a negotiated settlement before this war breaks out. Maybe it means we're not going to bring Ukraine into NATO. But whatever it is, I'm willing to do what it takes to meet you face to face. Did Biden do that? No, he did not. He did not. And now the Ukrainian Russian war is into its third year with no end in sight. And maybe it's up to Donald Trump to see if we can end this war. Okay. Basically, Joe Biden, in foreign policy, he has been a weak president, and he's allowed our adversaries to walk all over him. Okay. Domestic policies. The slogan, "It's the economy, stupid." That's a true statement. Democrats believed that in 2024, because of Dobbs and abortion and the end of Roe v. Wade, that women were going to come out in droves and elect Kamala Harris as president, all because of abortion. Well, women are multi-issue just as men are. We're not all single issue voters. And for a lot of women who have families, they were looking at 25% increases in food prices. People were looking at increases in rent, mortgage rates, housing shortages. Gas prices were high. On day one, he shut down the Keystone Pipeline. Oil exploration was halted, and gas prices went up to like $4. And they've come down now, but in the beginning, things were high. The inflation rate was 10%. The supply chain out there in California and San Diego there were like 150 tankers or ships just waiting to unload, just waiting out there in the Pacific. These things all played factors in our economy, and the voters responded by electing, or I should say, kind of re-electing Donald Trump. The policy on the southern border, we all know about that. It's a unmitigated disaster. 8 to 10 million people have crossed our border. They're all over the country now. In New York City, the mayor has said that New York could run out of money because, with all this influx of illegal immigrants, you've got to move city money from here over to here to take care of these people. You've got healthcare, you've got housing, you've got food, you've got education for their children. All this stuff costs millions and millions of dollars, and it's draining the safety net for other people, the homeless people in the city who are struggling just as much, if not more. And it's just a disaster that our southern border has been so overrun. It's an open border. Disastrous policy. Let's move on to social issues, social policies. The transgender issue. That was an issue during the Trump years, but it seemed to have exploded during the Biden years. And Biden redrafted or rewrote Title 10 to include gender identity. Title 9 is meant to give women and girls an equal footing, a level playing field, whether it's sports or education opportunities. And and we've seen now, men playing in women's sports, taking away titles and trophies. And American citizens, by and large, oppose allowing men in women's sports. They oppose it. And then you're talking about minors getting puberty blockers or surgeries. It's one thing for an adult over the age of 18 to consent to some of these surgeries. But if you're a minor, you do not have the understanding, the full grasp of consenting to surgeries like that. Just like you can't, a minor can't buy cigarettes or alcohol. You're not mature enough to consent to those harmful drugs. alcohol and marijuana or drugs in general. You cannot consent to that. And you should not be allowed to consent to life-altering surgeries that could leave you sterile, for the rest of your life and never be able to have children. So that's a transgender issue regarding abortion. Joe Biden has been considered the most pro-abortion president in U.S. history. Bill Clinton was bad. Barack Obama was worse. But Joe Biden has been almost uncanny in being the worst or the most pro-abortion president ever. He claims to be this strong Catholic who agrees with his church that human life begins at conception and that there's a divine spark that comes at conception that makes us human beings. Well, he doesn't agree with that. But he may say he does. So I cannot impose my viewpoint on people who don't agree with me. That would be Joe Biden. That was what Ted Kennedy said, and Mario Cuomo said, and Nancy Pelosi, and a lot of other politicians who happen to be Catholic who claim to support or agree with their church, but then they turn around and they are very pro-abortion. So the second point in this abortion issue is that Biden unleashed the Department of Justice on pro-life activists who were praying, sitting down praying, or just blocking doors of abortion clinics. And they have been tried, and some have been convicted, and some are serving time in prison, 5 to 10 years for some people in prison. And I've said before too that I'm really trusting and praying that in the next month or so of the new Trump presidency, that he will pardon these FACE Act protesters, these pro-lifers who have been unduly, harshly treated by the Biden Department of Justice. If you're a pro-abortion zealot, you can burn a church, or maybe you can burn a pregnancy care center. You may want to destroy some statues or some stained glass windows at churches. You may want to throw some paint on the walls of pro-life centers, pregnancy care centers, churches. Some of these things may be petty vandalism, but the Biden people do nothing about that. But if you're praying or singing and sitting down in a Planned Parenthood, you could get 10 years in prison. Unequal treatment, lawfare, you might say, against pro-lifers. It's wrong. It is wrong. Okay. The last item in this category of abortion is what Joe Biden did about a month ago. He awarded the Medal of Freedom to former Planned Parenthood President Cecilia Richards. Now, the Medal of Freedom is the highest honor that a U.S. citizen or even a foreign person can receive from the U.S. president for something noteworthy you have accomplished. You have made society better because of what you have done. And he gave that medal to Cecilia Richards while she was president at Planned Parenthood. Millions upon millions of babies died in Planned Parenthood clinics. And for Joe Biden to give her that award is atrocious, shameful. It is contemptible that she would get the highest honor that a civilian can receive from a president. Shameful, absolutely shameful. And with that tragic conclusion, I will end today's program, and I will see you next time.